If you're running Facebook ads and you're not sure how many audiences or creatives that you should be testing, this video is going to save you a lot of wasted budget. Because one of the biggest mistakes I see is people testing far too much, far too soon, or indeed not having enough creative variety. We review hundreds of accounts per year, and people who largely learn from YouTube, like you, tend to overcomplicate things. They've got 5 audiences, 40 different ads, multiple ad sets, different placements, different messages, different formats, and then they wonder why they have no idea what's actually working for them. But on the other side, you've got people doing the complete opposite. One audience, one ad, one image, and then after a few days, they say Facebook ads don't work and they switch it off. So in this video, I'm going to show you how many audiences and creatives that I would actually test if I was in your position, depending on your budget. And at the end, I'll explain the biggest creative testing mistakes that makes businesses think they're testing properly, when in reality, they're just testing the same ad, the same message over and over again. So let's start with audiences. A few years ago, Facebook ads was much more about finding the perfect audience. People would test loads of different interest variables. They'd have one ad set for this interest, one ad set for that interest, another ad set for lookalikes, another for engaged users, and everything was much more broken out and splintered. But Meta has changed a lot. With Advantage Plus targeting, broader targeting, improved machine learning, and more automated delivery, defining very tight audiences can actually hurt your performance now in a lot of cases. The platform is now much better at working out who is likely to respond to your ads as long as you give it the right signals. So if you're still trying to hack targeting with loads of tiny interest groups, you're probably overcomplicating it. In many ad accounts, I would rather start broader and let the creative and the conversion data guide the algorithm to find your right target customer. Now, that doesn't mean that audiences don't matter at all. It just means the way we think about audiences has changed. You're not necessarily saying to Meta, only show my ad to this exact group of people. You're now more saying that this is generally the type of person I want to reach, but I'm going to give the algorithm enough room to find people who are most likely to convert. And that's really important shift, because if you define the audience too tightly, especially on a small budget, you can restrict the algorithm before it has had a chance to learn. So the question is not how many audiences can I test? The question is how many audiences can I test properly with the budget that I have? Because those are very different things. If you're spending around £25 a day, for example, I would usually keep things very simple. One campaign, one ad set, one audience at a time. That audience might be broad and it might include some Advantage Plus audience suggestions. It might include things like locations, age range, gender if relevant, and then some broad guidance around interests or behaviors, but I wouldn't split that £25 a day across loads of different audiences. You're not going to get enough data, because if you do, nothing gets spent. If you've got £20 a day and you split it across 4 ad sets, each ad set's only getting £5 a day, and it's just pointless. You're not really testing anything properly. You're spreading the budget so thin that the results become almost meaningless. So on a small budget, test one audience structure at a time. Let it run, give it enough data, then review performance. If it works, build on it. If it doesn't, then test another audience or adjust your signals. Don't try and test everything at once. If you have a healthier budget, then yes, you can test more than one audience at a time. For example, if you're spending 100, 200, 300 pounds a day or more, you might test broad targeting against a lookalike audience, or broad targeting against a warm custom audience, or you might target business owners against marketing managers, or one geographical area against another. Now that makes sense when each ad set has enough budget to get meaningful information and data back to you and optimize. But the key word there is meaningful. Don't split the budget just because it looks more advanced. Split the budget when you have a clear reason to do so. Different audiences, different intent levels, different locations, different stages of the funnel, or a specific audience that you want to guarantee spend goes towards. Now, when you're using Advantage Plus audience suggestions, think of them exactly like that. They're just suggestions. You're not saying only target these people. You're saying, Meta, this is roughly the type of person that I want. Use this as a steer, but go and find the people most likely to take action. Now let's talk about creatives, because this is where the real testing happens. Now, in my opinion, for most advertisers now, creative testing is more important than audience testing, because Meta can usually find the right people if your conversion tracking is working, your offer is clear, and your creative gives the algorithm enough useful signals. But if you only give it one ad, you're giving it very little to work with. So don't launch a campaign with one creative and expect that to be enough. Put one image, one headline, one bit of copy. That's not a proper test. You need variety. You want to test different formats: video, single image, carousel, reel style creative, talking head videos like this, review lead ads, and problem solution ads, offer led ads, etc., etc. Different people respond to different types of creative and messaging, and Meta's new Andromeda targeting system increasingly targets people based upon your creative and your messaging. Some people need to see proof, some people respond to a strong offer, some people respond to a founder or business owner talking directly to the camera. Some people respond to a simple image with a clear message. So if you only test one format, you're limiting yourself. But the answer is not to throw 50 ads into one ad set. That's too much for most advertisers, especially on a smaller budget. If you have 50 ads live and you're spending 20 or 30 pounds a day, most of those ads won't get enough spend to prove anything at all. You'll end up with loads of ads and have tiny amounts of data. You won't know what to do with it. So for smaller budgets, I usually start with no fewer than 4 ads. That gives Meta some variety and it gives you angles to compare, but it's still manageable. 4 to 6 ads is a good starting point on a small budget campaign. On bigger budget campaigns, you can do more testing, maybe up to 20 if the budget can support it, if you can afford it. But I'd be careful going beyond that unless you really know what you're doing and you have enough spend to give those ads a fair chance. For most businesses, I'd say small budget, test 4 to 6 creatives, medium budget, test 6 to 10, larger budget, test 10 to 20. But the number is not the most important thing, the variety is. This is where people get creative testing wrong. They think they're testing 10 different ads, but they're not. They're testing one ad in 10 different ways. We have a client who was testing video creative where the script was basically the same, the edit was the same, the message was the same. The only real difference was the starting angle of the presenter's face. One started slightly to the left, one started slightly closer up, one started with slightly different frame. Technically, those were different videos, but strategically, they're not meaningful tests. They're testing the same idea. That's not where you should start. At the beginning, you want to test real differences. For example, if you're running ads for a home improvement company, don't just test 5 versions of the same ad with slightly different tests. Test a before and after, test a customer review, test a lifestyle image, test a video walkthrough, test an offer-led graphic, test a problem-led ad. Now, you're actually learning something. And also accept that these ads, creatives, and messaging works within an ecosystem. People won't exclusively be served the same ad over and over and over. They might see 5 or 6 different ads from within your campaign before they actually convert. They work together. So to summarize, how many audiences should you test? If you're spending under around £25 a day, usually one audience at a time. Keep it simple. If you have a healthier budget, you can test multiple audiences, but only when each one has enough budget to gather meaningful data. And how many creatives should you test? On a small budget, start with around 4 to 6 ads. On a medium budget, 6 to 10. On a larger budget, you can push towards 10 to 20. But don't be testing 20 versions of the same idea. Test real creative variety, different messages, different formats, different hooks, and different angles. Because Meta doesn't just need more ads, it needs better inputs, it needs creative that helps it understand who is interested, what they care about, and what makes them actually take action. So if your campaigns aren't working, don't just keep adding more audiences, don't just keep uploading more ads that all say the same thing. Simplify the structure, give the algorithm a clear steer, test meaningful creative variety, and then use the data to make better informed decisions. That's how I'd think about audience and creative testing on Facebook ads. So if you found this useful, make sure to subscribe for more practical videos from real experts on Meta ads, Google ads, and digital marketing strategy, and we hope to see you next time.